Calling meeting to order. Welcome everyone to City of Milpitas Planning Commission. Today is August 24th, starting at 7 p.m. For those that are planning on going on Zoom, instruction and want to make a public comment, instructions are in the agenda. I don't see anyone here, but anyone that is on Zoom that is planning to come, if you plan to make a public comment, there are cards over by the entrance. Fill those out and give those to our planning recording secretary. All right. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance, Commissioner Galong. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item, roll call. Ms. Medina.
Thank you, Chair. I'll now be taking attendance, starting with Commissioner Albana.
Present.
Commissioner Awasti.
Present.
Chair Chuan.
Present.
Vice Chair Ciardella.
Present.
Commissioner Galong. Commissioner Medina Ashby.
Present.
And Commissioner Mosen.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Medina. Next item, Conflict of Interest Declaration, City Attorney.
Sorry, I can't get my microphone to work. I ask each of the commissioners whether he or she has any financial or personal conflict of interest related to any of the items on tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Ms. Medina, would you go down the roll, please?
Commissioner Albana.
None.
Commissioner Awasti.
None.
Chair Chuan.
None.
Vice Chair Ciardella.
None.
Commissioner Galong.
None.
Commissioner Medina Ashby.
None.
Commissioner Mosen.
None.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect there are no reported conflicts. And since we do have people on this commission who are running for other offices, I'll ask a second question. I ask each of the commissioners please to disclose any campaign contributions of $100 or more received within the last 12 months from any of the parties entering into contracts with the city on tonight's agenda, or contributing or contributions received from the development project applicant for a development project on tonight's agenda.
Thank you, City Attorney. Ms. Medina, would you go down the roll, please?
Commissioner Albana.
None.
Commissioner Awasti.
None.
Chair Chuan.
None.
Vice Chair Ciardella.
None.
Commissioner Galong.
None.
Commissioner Medina Ashby.
None.
And Commissioner Mosen.
None.
Thank you.
Let the record show there was no disclosures.
Thank you, City Attorney. Next item, approval agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting agenda for August 24th, 2022?
Chair, I move that the agenda be approved.
Okay, I got a motion from Commissioner Albana. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Commissioner Mosen. I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Mosen.
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Ashby.
Aye.
Commissioner Awasti.
Yes.
Commissioner Galong.
Yes.
Commissioner Albana.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ciardella.
Yes.
Chair Chuan is aye. Agenda is approved. Next item, approval of the meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes for June 22nd?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for June 22nd.
Okay, I got a motion from Commissioner Medina Ashby. Do I have a second?
I second.
And I got a second from Commissioner Awasti. Roll call vote. Commissioner Mosen.
One abstention for me.
Okay. Commissioner Mosen abstains. Commissioner Medina Ashby.
Aye.
Commissioner Wasti,
Aye.
Commissioner Galong,
Aye.
Commissioner Albana,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ciudadela,
Aye.
and Chair Chuan is aye. So you have 6 ayes and 1 abstention. Okay. Next, can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes for August 10th?
Move to approve.
Okay, so I got a motion from Commissioner Mosen. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I got a second from Commissioner Albana. Roll call vote. Commissioner Mosen,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Ashby,
Aye.
Commissioner Owasti,
Aye.
Commissioner Galong,
Yes.
Commissioner Albana,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ciudadela,
Aye.
Chair Chuan is aye. Minutes are approved for August 10th by unanimous vote. Next item, announcements. Does any of the planning commissioners have any announcements? Okay, no announcements from the commissioners. Okay, planning director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 2 quick announcements. Next week on August 31st, it's the last Wednesday of this month, we will have a special planning commission meeting. There will be a presentation of the draft housing element that has been prepared for the city. As we've discussed previously, the state of California requires cities to update their housing element of their general plans every 8 years. So this plan will cover policies and programs for the projected housing needs in Milpitas between 2023 and 2031. It will be an informational presentation and will be brought back later to within the next few months for the Planning Commission to make a formal recommendation to the council. There will be a community workshop on the same topic as part of the ongoing outreach for the housing element. That will be held on Tuesday, September 13th at 6 p.m. I will send an email with a link to register for that meeting later today with some other information for the Planning Commission. But just a couple of things coming up with in relation to the housing element. Thank you.
Thank you, planning director. Next item, public forum. Those interested are invited to address planning commission on any subject not on tonight's agenda orally via Zoom webinar. Instructions were provided in the agenda. Speakers may provide their name and city of residence for the recording secretary's record, and comments may be limited to 3 minutes or less. As an item not listed on the agenda, no response is required from city staff or the planning commission, and no action can be taken. Planning commission may instruct the staff to place the item on a future meeting agenda. Ms. Medina, I don't see anyone here in the chambers. Is there anyone on online or on Zoom?
Chair, we have no community members in the queue in Zoom or.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Medina. Next item, public hearing. First item, time extension for 600 Barber Lane. Planning director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first public hearing item tonight, as you noted, is a time extension for a project that was previously approved by the Planning Commission back in August of 2020, as noted in a staff report. Again, this is an approved project, and so what we're looking at tonight is just an extension of time for the previously approved project. There are no changes to the project itself. However, a time extension does give us an opportunity, us being city staff, to look at the conditions of approval that were attached to the original approval. And we have noted 4 changes to the minor changes to the conditions of approval. And those will be explained in the presentation tonight. We have our associate planner, Christina Fung, here to present the staff report, and we'll turn the time over to her.
Thank you, planning director. Just a note, looks like the presentation that's currently on there shows it's maybe for the second item. So just wanted to make note of that. And then also it was in like not the presentation mode, but the opposite there. So anyways, welcome, Ms. Fung. As soon as the presentation is up, go right ahead.
That's still the second.
It's still the same
Sorry, Liz.
presentation there.
There we go.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Fong.
Thank you, Director Thomas, and good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, and members of the public. My name is Christina Fung, and I'm an Associate Planner here with the City of Milpitas. As mentioned, the item before you is a request for a time extension for a mixed-use project at 600 Barber Lane. Next slide, please. The application is a one-time request for a 24-month time extension to develop a mixed-use project with 372 residential units distributed in 4 buildings over a common 4-story podium containing 533 parking stalls, 5,500 square feet of ground floor retail, and 12,800 square feet of office use on 2 floors, with indoor and outdoor amenity uses and associated landscaping and site improvements on a 3-acre site located at 600 Barber Lane. The Planning Commission approved the listed entitlements on August 12th, 2020, including a site development permit, conditional use permit, tree removal permit, and environmental assessment. The applicant, BDK Capital, LLC, applied for the time extension prior to the project's expiration date, which is allowed per Milpitas Municipal Code Section XI-10-64.07. If approved, the entitlements would extend 24 months or until August 12th, 2024. There will be no changes to the scope or design of the project associated with this entitlement request. The applicant is requesting this time extension as the entitlements were approved in August 2020 during the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic. The main manager, Gang Ding, has been based out of China, and due to the strict international travel and quarantine restrictions for the past 2 years, it was difficult for him to travel to the States to assemble the necessary teams to oversee the construction of the project. A few members of the design and management team are here with us this evening. They are currently working on the building permit submittal, and the applicant team can update you on the progress after this presentation. The only revisions are to the resolution and conditions of approval. These changes are mostly clerical and do not affect the project's design or its ability to meet the state density bonus requirements that are detailed in the staff report. An additional breakdown of the project components will be provided in some upcoming slides and are also in the staff report. Next slide, please. And here we see a satellite view of the property, and the parcel boundaries are outlined in yellow. It is located west of Interstate 880 and east of Barber Lane. Next slide, please. And the map here demonstrates the project site zoning designation. The zoning for the project site is very high density mixed use, MXD3, with the high rise overlay. The zoning code permits mixed use developments by right in the zoning district, as long as all the uses within the development are permitted. The residential, office, and commercial components of the project are all permitted uses by right in the zoning code. The sites to the north and south are zoned commercial C2, and the site to the west is zoned industrial park MP. The site is next to some of the city's popular retail and commercial shopping centers, and 2 lots to the south is Milpitas Square with Range 99 and many other stores that the project tenants can utilize. In addition, Interstate 880 is east of the project site. Next slide, please. And here we see the ground level site plan for the project. The front entrance is oriented to the west towards Barber Lane, while the rear of the building is set back from the rear property by an access drive. The proposed front setback of 45.5 feet complies with the requirements of the zoning code. The fire department also needs a minimum 26-foot clearance width of unobstructed roadways, and the project requires a minimum of 2 independent and approved fire apparatus access points. The project is providing 2 26-foot wide curb cuts in compliance with this requirement, as you can see on the left. In regards to landscaping, the project received a tree removal permit for the removal of 11 protected trees and will be replaced at a rate greater than the 2-to-1 required ratio, with approximately 27 trees that will be planted. Additional landscaping that was approved includes a variety of shrubs, including approximately 4,300 square feet sod and artificial turf in the shared outdoor amenity area you will see in the next slide. Next slide, please. And here we see the podium level site plan with 4 of the residential buildings surrounding the shared courtyard, as shown from the uppermost level of the podium that I'll briefly describe. The base of the building will include a 4-story podium building in which one of the levels will be below grade, containing residential parking and a service room. The first floor above that at grade will include a 5,500 square foot ground floor retail component facing Barber Lane for an active pedestrian commercial retail corridor, and will also include some residential lobbies and parking. The second and third level above grade for the podium will include the approximate 12,800 square foot 2-story office component built above the retail section, and also includes residential units and amenities and more parking. With regards to parking, there will be a total of 533 parking stalls distributed on all 4 of these podium levels, including 469 for the residences, 222 for the retail, and 43 for the office. There's also going to be shared indoor and outdoor amenity areas totaling approximately 6,400 square feet that will be located at the rear of the first floor podium level and on the uppermost 3rd floor of the podium level in 3 areas you can see in this image, including a pool on the left side and a few courtyard areas. Most of the 372 units will be within these 4 5-story buildings and will include 165 studios, 118 one-bedroom units, 89 two-bedroom units, which will total approximately 322,000 square feet of habitable floor area. The project was approved with the density bonus in return for providing 15% or about 56 units of the proposed as affordable, which complied with the city's affordable housing ordinance. Approximately 11% of these will be designated for low income and 4% for the very low income levels. Next slide, please. And here we see another rendering of the project as seen from the front elevation on the top image, and the bottom image is another 3D rendering to get another visual perspective. In total, the project as approved is 8 stories max in height. The highest approved occupied floor level is approximately 73 feet above grade. The project is designed in a mix of modern architectural styles with the neutral color palette and was selected for the building. The design of the building incorporates cement, plaster, glass, and fiberboard panels with metal accents. Each facade is modulated in various ways with projected and inset balconies with a variety of color and finishes, a diversity of fenestration patterns, and various facade projections which capture shadows and change during the day. On the bottom image, you can get a better idea of the ground floor retail and the 2 levels of office right above it, as well as seeing how the residential tower massing will be around the parcel, including the curb cuts and driveways. I will defer to the applicant to detail further the architectural features of the project if you have more questions. Next slide, please. In accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, otherwise known as CEQA, the city prepared an environmental impact report, State Clearinghouse number 2007-062074, pursuant to Public Resources Code sections 21080D and 2102.2D and CEQA guidelines section 15064. The Milpitas City Council certified the landmark tower EIR, a prior project iteration of the project, on November 18th, 2008, and the Planning Commission approved an addendum for the current project on August 12th, 2020, that found no new significant environmental impacts that were not previously evaluated and disclosed in the EIR. And per section, CEQA guidelines section 15162, additional environmental analysis is not required because no changes have been proposed and no new information has been introduced warranting additional analysis. Therefore, the time extension is exempt from further CEQA review. Next slide, please. As also noted in the staff report and resolution for the time extension request, there are 4 minor revisions to the project's conditions of approval that are clerical and do not affect the project's design or its ability to meet density bonus requirements. The prior resolution number 20-013 will be superseded by resolution number 22-011. The project CEQA resolution number 20-014 will stand as is, as we have no changes and have just discussed that no further CEQA review was required. I'll discuss the first two on this slide and the other two changes on the upcoming slide. The first clerical edit that was made was for condition number 17, which revises time extension length to 24 months instead of 18 months per the applicant's request. Staff agrees this is a reasonable request for additional time due to the size and scale of the project, in addition to the pandemic-related difficulties. The second clerical edit was for condition number 36. The previous resolution accidentally did not include the date of the plan set that was attached as attachment D at the project's August 12th, 2020 Planning Commission hearing. This has also been updated to reflect the current dates with the sheet as January 29th, 2020 and January 16th, 2020 on all the subsequent plan sheets. Next slide, please. And here are the third and fourth conditions that have clerical edits. Condition number 37 was updated to meet a new state law, also known as Senate Bill 1383, which became effective for all types of properties in the state this year. This will allow the project to be designed to meet the required composting and organic waste collection requirements. The last clerical edit involved condition number 76, which was regarding a one-time contribution fee from the applicant to a city shuttle program. The fee was accidentally missing in the adopted resolution and has been updated to reflect the one-time fee contribution of $150,000 to the city, which was agreed upon by the city's engineering department and the applicant. Next slide, please. In addition, a notice was published in the Milpitas Post and at City Hall. 2 signs were also posted at the project site on August 11th, and no comments have been received to date. Next slide, please. Per Milpitas Municipal Code section XI-10-64.07D, an extension of the approval of a project may be granted if the current findings for the specific type of permits are made by the decision-making authority. As the factual basis for the required findings and the previously approved use remain unchanged, staff has confirmed that the project meets the findings associated with the site development permits and conditional use permits as set out in the Milpitas Municipal Code that are still being met. Those findings have been discussed in the staff report and are addressed in the resolution. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission open and close the public hearing and adopt resolution number 22-011, approving a time extension number TE 22-0004 for site development permit number SD 19-0006, conditional use permit number 20-0006, tree removal permit number TR-20-0008, and environmental assessment EA 20-0006 at 600 Barber Lane. This concludes staff's summary of the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Furthermore, we have a few members from this architect and design firm, Adept, as well as the management applicant firm, BDK Capital LLC, to help answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fong. Do any of the applicants or the architect, do they have any comments they wish to make before asking any questions? Okay, if not, that's fine. Do any of the commissioners have any questions to planning staff or applicant or architect? Okay. If there's no questions, okay, so no questions. Planning director, do you have a comment? Okay. Okay. Does the applicant have a presentation? The planning director was commenting that he might.
Hi, this is Joao. I'm speaking from Adept Development, Construction and Design. First of all, just want to thank planning commissioners and staff as well. And basically, our opinion is that we accept all the conditions, and we respectfully request that the commission approve the conditions moving forward.
Okay.
We have no presentation.
All right. Thank you. All right. Oh, it's one more time. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Anacleto? If there's no questions, let's see, then I guess next item would be to open the public forum for any public comments. Ms. Medina, do we have anyone in the queue to ask any questions or make any comments in the public forum?
Chair, we do not.
Okay, we do not. Okay. All right. Can I get since we don't, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Mosen. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, second from Commissioner Awasti. Roll call vote. Commissioner Mosen,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Ashby,
Aye.
Commissioner Awasti,
Yes.
Commissioner Galang,
Aye.
Commissioner Albana,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ciardella,
Aye.
Chair Chuan is aye. Okay, public forum is now closed. Okay, do any of the commissioners have any other questions for planning staff or applicant or architect? Or do they have any comments or deliberations they'd like to make? Commissioner Mosen, your light is on, or
Oh, sorry.
okay. Okay, if there are none, can I? Okay, if there are none, does anybody want to make a motion? And for the presentation, can we go to the final slide where you have the recommendations and
Recommendation or approval?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, so I got Commissioner Motion. Yeah.
I
Can I-
move to adopt.
Commissioner Mosen. Okay, go ahead.
Move to adopt resolution 22-011, approving time extension number TE 22-004, subject to the condition of approval.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Mosen. Do I have a second?
I make a second.
Okay, got a second from Commissioner Medina Ashby. Roll call vote. Commissioner Mosen,
Yay.
Commissioner Medina Ashby,
Aye.
Commissioner Awasti,
Aye.
Commissioner Galang,
Aye.
Commissioner Albana,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ciardella,
Aye.
Chair Chuan is aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you to the planning staff and thank you to the applicant and the architect. The motion has been approved. So time extension has been granted there. Okay, great. Thank you all. Next item is going to the next item, public hearing, new child care center, planning director.
Thank you, Chair. This item is a new project that has not been seen before by the Planning Commission. So it is a new child care center, in this case, a preschool, under the brand name of the Primrose School. Excuse me, I lost my place for just a moment. And you can see some of the details here on the agenda as well as in the staff report. You may recognize the address. Some of the longer serving planning commissioners previously reviewed a hotel project at this location. It was ultimately not approved. And so the owner and the new applicant have come back with a different proposal at the same location. In this case, to reuse the existing building, which is a former health club. And the existing building would be fully renovated to house the school. And we have our associate planner, Avery Stark, here to provide the staff report as well as representatives from the applicant. And we also have staff from fire safety and I believe the building department and engineering traffic if you have other questions. So we'll turn the time over to Avery for the staff report.
Thank you, Planning Director. Welcome, Mr. Stark.
Thank you, Director Thomas. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, and members of the public. Again, as Ned stated, my name is Avery Stark, and I'm an Associate Planner here at the City of Milpitas. The item before you is a request for a new child care center, preschool specifically, otherwise will be known as Primrose, at 1000 Jacqueline Road. Next. To restate the application scope in greater detail, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow a new preschool that would provide service to children ages 18 months through 5 years with a maximum capacity of 266 students. The proposed center would be located in an existing 2-story, 24,269 square foot building that was formerly Fitness 19 and MMA Mixed Martial Arts Studio. The applicant also requests a minor site development permit to allow exterior alterations to the building, facade, and site, including 5 new playground areas, landscaping, parking lot restriping, and reconfiguration of parking spaces, and a tree removal permit to remove and replace 2 ordinance protected trees. Next, please. Here we see the satellite view of the property. The parcel boundaries are shaded out in clear. The project is located in the southwest quadrant of I-680 and Jacqueline Road. Next slide, please. The map above demonstrates the project site zoning as highway services and general plan designation as neighborhood commercial. The surrounding properties are zoned highway services and administrative professional offices. Next slide, please. So I'm going to start and we're going to talk about parking here for the site. So table 4 demonstrates the project's current non-compliance with the zoning ordinance parking standards per section 1053 of the off-street parking regulations. The zoning ordinance allows several parking reductions to meet the minimum parking space requirements. The applicant has requested a reduction in the number of parking and loading and unloading requirements based on an empirical study completed by Hexagon Transportation Consultant, Inc. as attachment D to the staff report. This is subject to the Planning Commission's approval based on the empirical study, which demonstrates parking demand can be accommodated on the site. Next slide, please. The project is near Interstate 680 and Jacqueline Road, and the project utilizes 4 existing shared driveways, 2 on Jacqueline Road, 2 on North Hillview Drive, which provides multiple routes for parents and guardians to access the facility. On-site circulation and drive aisles have been reviewed by staff to ensure ample access and spacing requirements for the fire truck access and solid waste management on site. As previously discussed, a traffic operation and analysis report was conducted for the project site. The report reviewed trip generation, impact analysis, parking, site circulation. In conclusion, the proposed project is consistent with the land use permitted by the City of Milpitas General Plan and is not expected to significantly impact the level of service, LOS, in the immediate vicinity. Due to the landlocked nature of the parcel, the developer has obtained pedestrian access right-of-way through an adjacent western property, see sheet C-2.2 of your plan set and attachments to this report. And the pedestrian access to the project building would provide via a new pedestrian access path from existing sidewalks on North Hillview Drive. As such, the existing parking areas will be resurfaced and restriped to accommodate for 42 vehicle parking spaces. Next slide, please. The applicant proposes to install 3 outdoor playgrounds, number 1, 2, and 3, totaling roughly 3,163 square feet, enclosed by a 6-foot-tall iron rail fence. And you can see sheets L1 and L4, the project plans for those details. And 2 covered playgrounds, number 4 and 5, totaling roughly 3,952 square feet, enclosed by a 4-foot-high stucco wall with an additional 4-foot-tall metal mesh screening along the south elevation of the building. See sheet A4 for details. The applicant will remove a total of 18 trees from the site. 2 of those trees, number 12 and 18, are considered protected per the city ordinance, and the removal of those trees triggers the tree removal permit and requires the applicant to replace those trees to 2-to-1 ratio. The 4 new trees will be 24-inch, 15-gallon trees identified on sheet L3 with a star, and in this indication, it's the stars you see on the page in front of you. The applicant will add new planter beds along the building perimeter, the southern and eastern property line, and the new parking lot planters with various grasses, plants, and flowers. Next slide, please. Additionally, the applicant will install one new main entrance along the northern elevation of the building and the required emergency exit doors into the playground and around the building to comply with the California and Fire Code, Building and Fire Code. Installation of the new exterior doors, windows, iron rail fence will require the approval of a building permit under a separate application. Next slide, please. The proposed floor plan includes 2 stories here on the first story, and in total there'll be 14 new classrooms totaling roughly 9,430 square feet, 12 student restrooms inside those classrooms, 6 separate adult women's and men's restrooms outside of the classroom, a reception area, offices, storage, training space, laundry, and a warming kitchen to serve 4 meals a day to the children, including breakfast, lunch, and 2 light snacks. Next slide. This is the demonstration of the proposed second story. As you can see, it does contain a number of classrooms, and also in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen is the open area that looks down on the playground numbers 4 and 5. Next slide, please. The preschool will have a maximum enrollment of 266 students, and the facility will be staffed by approximately 27 staff members at any given time. The hours of operation of the center are Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And the center offers a variety of different programs, including half-day, extended day, and full-day services. Pickup and drop-off activities are staggered according to the different programs offered and will always be managed by a staff member using a child care management software program on wireless tablets known as ProCare. During these peak times of vehicular activity, 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. for pickup and 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. for drop-off, parents will participate in a contactless drop-off and pickup to be completed in approximately 30 seconds to 1 minute. There will be 29 dedicated spaces with signs identifying each of those spaces to facilitate the drop-off and pickup process. See sheet A1 for further details of the plan set. Next slide, please. The Milpitas Police Department reviewed the project and prescribed several measures to ensure safety and security of the overall site and its occupants. All are included in the resolution as project conditions of approval. Conditions address such matters as high definition video surveillance, adequate exterior lighting, posted exterior site signage to discourage trespassing and loitering, and filing emergency contact information with the Milpitas Police Department. Next slide, please. The project is exempt from further environmental review under CEQA guidelines section 153301 and 5183. As proposed, the project includes conditionally permitted childcare preschool within an existing facility in an urbanized area, a minor site development permit to allow minor exterior alterations to the building facade, including a new playground, landscaping, and parking lot restriping and configuration. A tree removal permit will allow the removal and replacement of 2 ordinance protected trees. The project is also consistent with the Milpitas General Plan, Zoning Ordinance, Child Care Master Plan, and there are no circumstances present that would require a subsequent environmental impact report or an EIR or negative declaration. Next slide, please. The applicant held a community meeting on January 10th of 2022. Approximately 465 owners and residents within a 1,000-foot area were invited via a mailer to the drop-in meeting. Approximately 8 residents attended that meeting. In addition, the project was posted in the Planning Department's online public forum to solicit comments from anyone who was unable to attend the committee meeting. A notice was published in the Milpitas Post and at City Hall. Additionally, 2 signs were posted at the project site on August 11th. To date, only 3 public comments have been received. Next slide, please. Staff has confirmed that the project meets the findings associated with the conditional use permit set out in the Milpitas Municipal Code. The details discussed for each finding is included in the staff report and are addressed in the resolution. Next slide, please. Continuing, the staff has also confirmed that the project meets the findings associated with a minor site development permit as set forth by the Milpitas Municipal Code. And these findings are also detailed in the staff report and addressed in the resolution. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission open and close the public hearing, adopt Resolution 22-012, approving conditional use permit number UP 21-003, minor site development permit number MS 21-0129, and tree removal permit number TR 21-0031, subject to the findings attached, conditions of approval. This concludes staff's summary of the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Furthermore, staff members from the architect team, design team, and owner and operator are here as well to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stark. Do any of the applicants or the staff that you've been working with, do they have any presentations?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Maybe prior.
You never sent me the presentations. Unfortunately, I don't believe we're able to play that this evening.
I thought you said you would share screen.
I also asked that you send that to me by today at noon.
I didn't get the email.
Unfortunately, the secretary does not have that presentation, so I don't believe we'll be able to play that. Is that correct, Miss Medina?
We can have it.
That doesn't seem accurate.
We have it.
If you could send me that presentation immediately, I could forward it to the secretary and she should be able to post it, but I have not received it.
Either that, or if possible, we can allow Mr. Schoenauer to
verbally give the presentation as well. Yes.
While I'm speaking, Anthony Ho, the architect, will email the presentation to Avery. Does that work?
Yeah, let's have them send it
That's
over.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry for he's emailing it. He's emailing it right now. So if I can share screen, then we'll get started. Okay.
Yeah, maybe prior to that, while we're waiting for that one, I'd like to ask if the commissioners have any specific questions for Mr. Stark, while we're waiting for the presentation. Vice Chair, looks like you have your hand up there. So.
Yeah, I've got a question for Avery. I looked on the plans and I really couldn't see it. But is there a place to put, what would you call it, the child carriers into the room, set it down, and then pick up the baby?
So this is not this child care doesn't include infant care. It includes children 18 months to 5 years of age. I would defer to the applicant if you have changing tables within the floor plan.
Yes, we do have a placement to put car seats. There are whole, like if you come to the Willow Glen, we can show it to you. There's a cupboard where parents actually put the car seats, and there are changing table also in each classroom.
Okay. And then the next question I have for fire, if they're there.
Yeah, actually, Vice Chair, if you don't mind, I'm going to give fire a chance to, do their presentation later. So we can come back to that. Specifically, does anyone have any questions based upon Mr. Stark's presentation that they, kind of, I guess, really want to ask right after this presentation? But I also do want to make sure that or if you guys are okay, if the commission is okay, I will have the consultant there do the presentation and come back. Okay. Right. Seems like we're okay with that. Okay. Is the presentation ready now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No problem. Okay, it looks like the presentation is up.
For some reason, the audio wasn't working, so I'm going to try it again.
We hear you.
Right, but when I put the screen up, then you couldn't hear me for some reason.
Okay.
Let's try this again.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Excellent, great.
Okay, well, welcome. Go
Yeah.
ahead with your presentation.
Great. So good evening, Chair Chuan and members of the commission. My name is Eric Schoenauer, and I'm a land use consultant to Seema and Amar Chakwala, who are both the property owner here and they are the owner operator of Primrose Schools. And I'm also joined by Anthony Ho from LPMD Architects, who's the architect on the project. We're all available for questions later on. I don't want to repeat the staff presentation. I just want to make a few key highlights for you going forward. First of all, Seema and Amar are experienced preschool operators. Their first school opened in the Willow Glen neighborhood of San Jose on Hamilton Avenue, and their second school, Primrose Cupertino, opened on De Anza Boulevard. So this is their third school. They have a lot of experience operating preschools. This site is, well, first of all, we'd like to thank staff also. We'd like to thank Avery Stark and Director Thomas for shepherding our project through the city process, and thank the staff from all the other city departments who reviewed our project. This site is really ideal for a preschool facility for a couple of key reasons. First of all, as you can see on the screen, we have no adjacent residential uses next to the preschool. This is beneficial because obviously kids do make noise in the outdoor play area. And so it's a very nicely situated with commercial property on all sides. The other key thing is that we're situated at the interchange of Jacqueline Road and 680. Many parents drop their kids off on the way to work and pick their kids up coming home, and being conveniently located on the freeway ramp is really nice for parents. So the site is perfectly suitable for a preschool. As was already mentioned by staff, we are going to rehabilitate the existing building. So on the bottom of the screen is the existing building where we will create new classrooms and 5 playground areas for the children on site, with the adjacent 42 parking spots right outside the front door of the childcare, conveniently located for parents to drop off and pick up. Let's continue on. Another key feature is you're all familiar with this building because it's very visible from the freeway and from Jacqueline. Right now, it's somewhat unattractive, I would say, in that there are no windows. The building just has sort of bunker-like blank walls, which is depicted in the image on the screen here. And our plan to make it suitable for children is to add doors and windows to the facade. So you can see this is what it'll look like when completed, with lots of windows. So we have sunlit classrooms, open areas into the playground, as well as we'll be upgrading the exterior lighting, upgrading the landscaping, and of course, adding the playground areas. So the building and the site will be far more attractive than it is today. So for all of those reasons, that it's a perfect location for a preschool, the fact that you're getting a very experienced preschool operator investing in Milpitas, and the fact that the site and the building the appearance will be dramatically enhanced, we hope that you will approve staff's recommendation to approve the project. We're all available for questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'd like to go see if any of the commissioners have any questions for either planning staff or the land use consultant or the owner. Commissioner Galan.
Yeah, I have a question to the applicant. Is that okay? Mr. Amar?
Yeah.
Yes. Tell me about the what is your program or activities? Let's say you start from 7:30 up to 6:30 in the evening.
Yes.
Yeah, during morning and in the afternoon. What are the? Do you have any program activities?
My wife, she can answer it.
Yes, so the program is from, hi, this is Seema. And the program runs from 7:30 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. And we do have a set curriculum and a well-written curriculum by Primrose Education team, and activities are planned throughout the day. The core curriculum activity time, I would say, is between 8:30 to 4:30 when majority of the children are on the facility.
How many students in per classroom?
It varies by the age group. For each, for example, infants, we have 12 children per classroom with 3 teachers. For age group 2 to 3, there are 16 children per classroom and 3 teachers. For age group 3 to 4 and 4 to 5, 24 children per classroom with 2 teachers.
You have 27 staff, correct? And then are 266 kids. How do you distribute this staff out of 27 or 266? Is it 2 staff per 50 10 students? How do you do that?
Yes, I think that's a correct formula. Roughly per classroom, 2 teachers. You are correct.
Let's say if there's 3 or 4 staff called in sick, do you have any backup employees?
Yes, so we always have 2 to 3 extra support teachers. So if anybody calls out sick, that person would step in to cover for the person who is sick.
And then all your staff are certified CPRs, cardiopulmonary.
Yes, absolutely. All staff is CPR certified, and there are requirements from the state of California regarding their qualification, as well as mandated reporter and other certifications that they must have to become a teacher in early child programs.
During drop off, do you have a staff that can assist the parents who drop off their kids? Do you have any staff outside and that can assist kids?
So yeah, so generally drop-off time, considering like having 2 schools open in the Bay Area, the pickup and drop-off window is pretty huge, like from 7:30 to 9:30, and it's pretty sporadic. And we have parents park the car and bring their child with them, drop off to the classroom. Just for security reasons, we don't take any children from the car because we want to make sure that children are dropped off with their parents or authorized pickup person, and they are picked up by them for the security reasons.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Galong. Any other commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Mosen.
I have a question with the staff regarding the playgrounds. There's several playgrounds in here, 4 playgrounds. Are they side by side to each other? I couldn't figure out. And on what side of the building are the playgrounds?
Yes, so there are 5 total. You're correct. There are 3 on the north portion of the building. Playgrounds 1 and 2 to the west of the building, on the west face of the building, are back to back, side by side. And then as you move to the east, there'll be the entryway, and then you'll find playground number 3. So you can see it detailed on the landscape sheets, L1 and L4. There are also a few architectural pages that demonstrate their location. And then the 4th and 5th playground spaces are located as open air, pseudo inside the building. There we go, we're getting that. I would go to slide 8, the proposed playground and landscaping. It's gonna be, there we go. Just back, there we go. So at the bottom of your screen there, you see playground area 4 and playground area 5. They are considered—
Can you point to it, please?
I don't have a mouse to point, but at the bottom of your screen there, it says playground 4 and playground 5, just to the right there.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So those are inside the building, but they are technically outdoor play areas. As on the back side of the building, it's being opened up with a wall, 4 feet concrete at the very bottom, and then a 4-foot mesh metal fence kind of gate, and as such that will shield the inside, but it creates an open air environment within the confines of the building. So those are the 5 playground areas.
So all these playgrounds will have structures, or they are sandboxes, or
Correct. As detailed in the landscape plans, they will have a variety of different outdoor play equipment specific to the age groups that would then play in them.
Oh, okay. So these playgrounds are specific to age groups?
My understanding is under California code for childcare facilities, yes, there are certain types of playground equipment that is allowed based on the age range, and it then changes and is either greater or smaller depending on the age range. So yes, it is age specific.
Are there any covering on top of the playgrounds? The playgrounds are open?
So there are coverings, natural shade coverings developed by the playground equipment. If you look further in the project plan sets, the landscape plans detail those equipment pieces themselves and the shade coverings that they do have. And again, those are requirements that the California Department of Social Services requires. And playground number 4 and 5 are actually shaded by the structure itself, as they're kind of pseudo indoors, but they're still technically open air, as they don't have, it's not a wall that separates them. It is like an open air passageway. So they're completely shaded in the sense that there's a roof over the top of it.
Sounds good. Is this proposed project is across from another preschool, right?
Correct. It is to the east of another preschool.
So where is the opening or the entrance to this preschool? Is it opposite of the other preschool, or is it somewhere else on the any other side?
So the drive aisles for the preschool to the west would be, if you're looking at the diagram in front of us, the left-hand side of the page, there's 2 large trees there. If you were to continue driving to the left towards South Hillview, you would drive past the adjacent preschool.
So it's at the back of the parking, or the existing opening? Is it that's the entrance of the preschool? The existing opening that they have the stairs kind of thing?
It is very close, yes. Those stairs that lead to the clock tower, yes. If you were standing looking at those stairs and you turned around 180 degrees, you would see the adjacent across the drive aisle preschool.
So obviously you guys went through the traffic reports, right? So it's not a danger or a very constricted area for 2 preschools to drop off. It's about a similar time zone, right?
Correct, yes. So the project was studied. A traffic operations analysis was conducted by Hexagon, and it was found that based on the trip generation, the volume of traffic, and the number of daily trips, that there is still adequate ability to ensure safety. In addition, they're adding an accessible pathway along the drive aisle that runs throughout the site to South Hillview to create a connection from the public right-of-way. So there is, it has been studied as an attachment D, I believe, of the staff report detailing those specifics.
So in the playground, are they going to be able to plant any trees for shade for children, or no?
So the playgrounds are surrounded on the outside by a number of different types of shrubs and plants. There are a few tree canopies that would protrude over those playground areas to provide natural shade. As you're looking at this site plan, playground number 3 has 3 trees, it appears right there, that are going to be naturally shading that area of the playground.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Vice Chair Ciardella.
Yeah, and
before Vice Chair, Planning Director, you had
Sorry, I just want to, excuse me, Vice Chair. I just want to interject one comment in response to the previous questions from Commissioner Wilson. So I believe, if I understood correctly, you were looking for the primary entrance to the to the new facility. And it will move from, I believe the primary entrance to the health club was at the corner by the clock tower. But as you can see on the map in front of us, or on the site plan in front of us, if you can see that large gray area in the middle, that is actually the sidewalk that's leading to the entrance. I believe it's very small, but you can see the word entry. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the building will be completely renovated and there will be a new entrance at the center of the building. If that helps with your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Planning.
All right, thank you, Planning Director. My apologies, Vice Chair, go right ahead.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my question to Avery is that when you were talking to her, you said there was a 4-foot wall and then a 4-foot fence. Is that area covered so nobody could climb up the 4-foot wall and over the top of the 4-foot fence?
So if you refer to the, let's see if we have the slide.
I think it's on there if I'm not mistaken.
It is on there. If you go to the slide number 2. There we go. So this is the rear elevation of the building. This elevation, which is considered the south elevation. So as you see there at the very bottom, there's 5 windows, 5 with a half circle at the top. It's a 4-foot high stucco wall with an additional 4-foot high mesh metal screen, so a total of 8 feet. And then if you were to reference the landscaping plans, which is just above this, so the slide 7, which we were previously looking at, you'll see there's a number of brand new planted shrubbery and trees along that south elevation to again provide some screening and natural vegetation to the along the back of the property.
Okay, if you can go back to that original side, that one right there. The half dome, are those windows or are those solid?
It's an open air, so there's no window there.
Yeah. So in other words, somebody could climb onto that 4-foot fence and over the top of the 4-foot fencing area?
So the Milpitas Police Department has reviewed the security and safety precautions put in place. So not only does the building going to be equipped with new exterior lighting sufficient enough to deter that type of activity, there's also the requirement for new high-def security cameras along the outside of the perimeter of that building as well. And for context, anyone is possible to scale any building, I suppose, although very unlikely. And the police department has assured that the safety measures and security measures that have been put in place are sufficient enough to deter someone. If there was an incident, then they would, the applicant or the operator would call 911 as any other business within the city of Milpitas.
Okay, then let me ask either yourself or the architect, when that wall comes up, is the fencing right on the edge so they couldn't climb on top of that 4-foot wall and scale that 4-foot fence? That's what I'm concerned about. 4 feet is not that high. It would be very easy for someone, if they had to or they wanted to, I should say, is climb that wall.
Yes, Commissioner, this is Anthony Ho, the architect. If the slide can go back to the landscape plan, I want to show you, yeah, right here. So you can see that as Avery earlier said, we have planting there. Now, we don't have a walkway there. We just have planting because it's only 4 to 5 feet back there. So the current parking lot to the south of us is right against us, and then after that there are shrubs existing, and rather than the shrubs we'll plant these plants, and so these plants will be right against that arch that you just saw. So there's really no space for anyone to really walk along that side per se to make that climb that easily. If that helps you understand that situation.
You know, I
Yeah.
understand that shrubs are just plant material and you're saying you can't step on that. I've stepped on a lot of shrubs in my day. And it should be very easy to crush that, climb onto that 4-foot wall, and then climb over that fencing. That's what I'm saying. I think that
I see. In that case, I'll let the owner answer you about maybe the possibility of extending a fence, because we did question about that too. Right now, the fence is stopping at the bottom right corner where you see Interstate 680. There's a little transformer back there, and right now the fence stopped right to the corner of the building without extending further. So if we make a change to extend the fence to be right against our property line, yes, right against the parking lot from right to left, that can help people, to prevent people from stepping onto the shrubs and then climb over. I'll let the owner speak to that.
what I'm worried about is the height, not the width.
Right. I'm talking about the height too. So I'm thinking about having a fence so people cannot get to the plants, like a property line fence, like a wire mesh fence. I'll let the owner have some input on that.
We can extend the fence. We can put the 6-foot fence or even 8-foot fence all over the property line. And this particular open area actually give access to the playground. Actually, school is protected because with the security system, as Avery was mentioning. So all internal of the school doors are already protected with the key lock systems and everything. So even if someone, let's say, managed to climb 8 foot, because as Avery mentioned, there's a 4-foot wall and there is another 4 foot of a metal mesh, metal actually rail. I think Anthony has a photos if he can show. So it won't be that easy to actually just climb 8 foot and just go. But even if they go, they will end up into the playground because that's a playground area, 4 and 5. And that particular thing is locked. So it's not possible for someone to just enter into the school area because it's the area is protected by security system.
And this is Eric Shanauer. If I could just add, the design of, well, the entire facility, but especially the playground areas, is regulated by the state of California. And the child care licensing has a bunch of criteria to ensure that the children are safe. And so the state, when this goes to get licensed, all the things that you're talking about will be evaluated by the state to make sure they're adequate and safe.
Yeah, I'd be really, sad if something happened and I'm sitting up here as a planning commissioner saying, well, okay, then let's let the state do it. I would be very much, to me, a delegate of what am I trying to say?
And then
anyway, I'm just worried about that. That's all. Very easy to climb a 4-foot wall and then a 4-foot fence. And I like to see that fence go up on the half round, whatever it is, open air.
And another thing I just want to add, every school that we run has automatic lockdown system. So if there is something happens, actually school automatically goes in the lockdown system. This is kind of a cover again also by the fire and safety departments. And school runs every month kind of lockdown drill also, just as many public schools also runs the lockdown.
Yeah, that's great. Anyway, my next question is, Avery had mentioned you had some emergency exit doors to go out to the playground. How do you get from the playground to the outside of the building?
And Anthony, you want to show it actually?
Yes, except I cannot have control of the cursor, but
If you go to if you go to the proposed floor plan on the,
yeah,
oh, no, never mind. They don't have them.
Right.
You're best on this one. Sorry.
well, I can describe it if we can stay on that slide, the last one. Okay, so let's say, Commissioner, let's say we go from, let's take play area number 2, for example. So a child or the teacher can escape, exit through these black arrows, the very black triangles. Okay, then the requirement, we work closely with the building department staff in the city before we get to the hearing. And what we did is that we put 2 gates. There are 2 gates around onto the north side of the play area. You see the word gate and the word gate. Yes. So, and then they get out and then they turn left. They turn left along the sidewalk against the parking area, right? Keep running, keep running. Okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then turn left. Yes. And then go down the page. And you can see the sidewalk with the squares. Okay. Yes. Keep coming. Yes. Okay. And then we keep going down. And here, what we did is that we did discuss with Public Work and also the police and you know, to make sure that we find a safe path. And so here, you keep running down the page, and then we eventually have to, yeah, right, keep coming down. Eventually, they have to cross this road, this internal drive, and then go to the left side of that page to, yeah, and then, yeah, it's outside the page, unfortunately, in this. But Eric actually have the a slide, the applicant has a slide that shows how we go all the way to the public sidewalk. Yeah, if you go all the way down to almost towards the very end of the presentation. Yeah, keep going, keep going. Yeah, yeah, keep going. Yeah, after that, yeah, after that. Right, one more. One more. Oh, sorry, go back up a little bit. Go back up. Up. Yes, here. So, Commissioner, you can see that. Yeah, right where this arrow is where the last slide stopped. And then if you keep running to the right side, you can see that, yeah, then you cross the drive. And then in this project, we actually have to spend money to improve that walk and kind of, you know, take up some of the shrubs and all that to make sure we have a clean path, and you keep running to the right side and then you exit out to Hillview. So that's how we exit to a safe public sidewalk. And this has been approved by staff.
Okay.
Yes.
Then, you know, I guess, you know, that the plans we get at home are very small, to say the least. You know, I guess what my concern is if you have a problem inside the building, you go to the play area and then you go to another area. Is that outside?
Yes. If I could step in, this is Eric Schoenauer. Every play area in the front of the building has an exit gate. So all you do is walk out of the classroom into the playground and then out the gate, and then you're out into the parking lot.
Okay. Now that's my other concern is, you know, what kind of door handles are on those gates? Could
A state regulated gate that prevents children from exiting without an adult.
So the 5-year-old, because I know one of my cousins has got a 5-year-old that just goes crazy, climbs on everything, and there's a lock gate, he'd probably go through it. And I guess what I'm just concerned about, you get a child like that that's going to, you know, get out somehow, and that's what I worry about.
Yeah. That, I mean, obviously that is a primary concern of the owner operator. Last thing we want to do is have a child get out. Luckily, there are lock mechanisms specifically for this purpose, where it's elevated in height, it's up high.
Okay,
and
that's
and it's tricky.
perfect.
You have to like pull a thing and push a thing to make it work. And they're the same lock mechanisms that are used on swimming pools to prevent children from getting into the pools, but allows the adult to get in. So it exists. We use them at our other facilities right now, and it's very common for playground exiting.
Yeah, I was just worried that, you know, that gate might have panic hardware on it and the kid just hits it and out the door he is. I'm glad we're using that kind of a safety item. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other questions from any other commissioners? Commissioner
Chair.
Albana.
Chair, is this the right time to ask about like the traffic flow?
We have Mr. Steve Chan, and I will ask him to do a presentation on it. Did you have any questions for staff or the architect or applicant?
No, not that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I actually had a question. This is for planning staff. So I noted in the presentation, you said there were 3 public comments. Can you let us know, what were the comments? Were they in the affirmative or, what were the concern, if there are any concerns?
Yeah, so the reason I believe those comments weren't carried forward is the meeting we had as a part of, the comments were received as a part of the community meeting, which isn't considered a technical public hearing. So I apologize that those 3 comments weren't forwarded into this packet. We can certainly get those into the record and an update. But to what I've got, they are in the affirmative or neutral. I received no comments during the community meeting that were adamantly opposed to the project, and the majority of the individuals that attended were either in the neutral status or an approval of the use as a child care facility.
Okay. Can you comment about the neutral comment, like specifically?
One comment would just be that they're just excited to see a use in the tenant space and the revitalization of said building. Just to be that they're glad to see someone going in and utilizing the facility. Okay,
great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Planning director, I don't know, did you have any comments? Or okay, all right. The next, so I do see that we have, a couple folks, from our city staff as well too. I think given that at first maybe want to go to Vice Chair Ciardella, he had some question for the Deputy Fire Chief. So can we get the Deputy Fire Chief on first, and if he has any specific comments in regards to the project?
Actually, Mr. Chair, I got my questions answered about that hardware that's up high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, since we have the Deputy Fire Chief, if you have any comments in regard to the project, since I called you up here.
Not necessarily. As was alluded to, there's a regulatory level at the state. There's filed for what's called an 850, and so we're very specified on checking for exiting strategies around public and the safety of the children regarding suppression systems and alarm systems, and all of that's engaged in our process as we go forward. So,
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any questions since we got the Deputy Fire Chief on? Any questions for the Deputy Fire Chief? Okay, if there's no questions for the Deputy Fire Chief, thank you. I'd like to keep you on until maybe after the public comment. Okay, next I see that we have Mr. Steve Chan on. I was wondering if you had any comments or anything you'd like to add in regards to this project.
Thank you, Steve Chan, Transportation Traffic Manager. Nothing really to add. Avery in his staff report cover the traffic operation analysis for the project, as well as the parking analysis. So Hexagon consultant did consider the adjacent preschool operation in their study and found that the site access, there are 4 driveways to this site. And also we are creating, or the project is creating a ADA path to the public sidewalk. So all modes of transportation is accommodated for this new project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chan. So I'll go over to Commissioner Albana. I know you had a question for regarding traffic.
Oh, yes, thank you, Chair. And to Mr. Chan, is there a way that you could show us in the diagram where the traffic flow would be? I'm also concerned because this is a major street that there's a lot of like cars when they go to the elementary, middle school, high school, when classes are open, and then there'll be this traffic coming into this childcare. Is there a flow how it goes through and where they drop off the kids then come out? When there's also another existing childcare center right beside it?
Well, as Hexagon study showed, there's 4 driveway access to the site. So there's 4 points of entry, 2 on Jacqueline and 2 on Hillview, that they could access the project site. In regards to the high school traffic, they are actually going the on Jacqueline Road anyway, sort of going the opposite direction. Majority of it going westbound. Here, access is primarily from eastbound Jacqueline Road onto the site. And then, as I mentioned, there's 2 Hillview driveway that provide access to the site as well. And the Hexagon analysis did include the operation of the adjacent preschool and didn't find any deficiency in this new project.
I guess I wanted to see how the cars will go in and drop off the kids and then come out from the parking lot.
I would let the applicant explain the drop-off operation and how they see parents getting in and out of the drop-off area.
Yeah, to be clear, there is no drop-off area. There is a 42-car parking lot, and all parents will pull into a parking space, park their car, and get out and take their children into the school.
Exactly.
That is the only way that preschool childcare works, because you have to, the parent or the guardian has to take the child and sign them in to the center.
And I would also like to add, they also have the option to walk in from the public sidewalk and into the site through new ADA.
I'm sorry,
route.
that's correct. But I wanted to make, that's correct. You can walk from the neighborhood in, but there is no, unlike a middle school or even an elementary school where you see lines of cars pulling up and dropping kids at the curb or in the turnout, that can't happen here. An adult, a responsible adult, has to take the child into the facility. And therefore, if you're in a car, you will park in a space and then get out and go in.
Thank you. My next question would be, would there be enough parking spaces for the short periods of time per segments of the day that they drop off their kids? Will 42 parking be enough?
Yes, this is applicant. So we have a 30 parking, 29 precisely for parents to come in. Actually, eventually all 42 are most likely available because many teachers comes in a public transportation or carpool together. So more than 29 will be available. And average, it takes a minute or 2 minutes for parents to come and sign in and drop the kids. And kids are spread across 120 minutes. So you can do the math, right? In 120 minutes, 30 parking spots, you could actually, frankly speaking, drop almost 360 kids in that particular time frame. But we do see it, and We have been running experience running school, actually both in Willow Glen and Cupertino area, and we have never found the lack of parking is an issue in our school.
I would also like to add that we are not a public schools where there is a set drop off time that by 8:15 or 8:20 everybody has to be at the school. We have a pretty huge drop off and pickup window, like morning 7:30 to 9:30 and then evening 4:30 to 6:30. That's a pretty huge window. So not all the parents are arriving closer to 8:15, just like public schools. Like it is based on parents' work schedule. Some parents drop off early at 7:30, some at 8, some at 9. And the parents who drop off at 7:30, they generally pick up their child by 4:30. The parent who pick up at 8 is more likely to pick up by 5:30. So it's a very sporadic traffic with 2-hour window in the morning and in the evening. So generally, we don't see a traffic jam or cars waiting for a drop off or pickup in the parking lot.
And Commissioner, this is Avery Stark. I'd like to also add that as a part of the city's municipal code, they're required to provide 29 dedicated loading and unloading spaces or drop off and pickup where a parent or guardian would actually park their car. They will be identified with signage. They are the first 30 or 29 parking spaces in front of the building closest to the entry access that's being created. So in addition to that, they're also utilizing ProCare, which is an app-based tool that allows them to help ease and facilitate as a parent walks their child inside to do that contactless transfer of the student into the facility and then return back to their car. So the use of having the dedicated parking spaces only for Primrose would ensure and help to encourage that the vehicle traffic from a neighboring business isn't flowing over into utilizing those upfront parking spaces to help keep that turnaround of pick up and drop off to that 30 seconds to a minute. And so I think that's part of what was also studied by Hexagon in their analysis was that ratio of dedicated parking spaces in comparison to the existing Willow Glen preschool centers. They used a ratio which is identified in the Hexagon's traffic report, and Steve Chan might be able to allude to it in specifics, but it helps to understand that the metrics using at that site and the LOS at that site, the level of service in comparison to this allows us to understand that 42 parking spaces in total, 29 of which will be dedicated to the parental guardians or parents pickup and drop off will be sufficient to ensure safety and adequate movement of people throughout the site.
Awesome. That's nice to know. This is very informative, and I'm thankful that you've done the analysis and all of that because it's very concerning, and I'm so glad. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Albana. Any other questions from any of the commissioners? All right. I had a question, just kind of pairing along with Commissioner Albana. So I'm looking at table 4 in the in the staff report there. And, so I do note that, you have the required total of 29 in what you mentioned. What I'm also wondering is, so, up at the, the second line and the table shows, you have the classrooms, but y'all's employees, you're saying 24. So, 24 and 29 don't quite match up to the, 42. So I guess maybe that's what you're looking at. The square footage can be 36. So how many employees total are you anticipating to hire for this preschool? This could also be a question for the owner as well.
Sure. So I can explain the table a little bit. So as previously mentioned, so the applicant has exercised and requested the reduction of a parking amount based on an empirical study which was provided by Hexagon. So the code would normally, without an empirical study, would require 79 parking spaces based on the figures of the classroom, the total number of employees at a ratio. So 36 employees at 1 per 1.5 employees would get you 24, the office space and loading requirements. And so that would be the requirement strictly based on the municipal code. Now, the code has provisions and they're often exercised for childcare facilities and other facility uses. When a empirical study is done for traffic impact, you can, at the discretion of the Planning Commission, reduce the amount of parking down to what that study has found to be a sufficient and accurate level to provide a level of service to the site and to not impede or provide kind of detrimental harm to the adjacent businesses, because it is a study of the kind of that area in whole in terms of traffic flow and patterns.
Okay, so the anticipation of, so I am looking at also at the hexagon report and the parking analysis on table 2. I do note that, there's, the number of parking is supplied is 36, and then there's 31. So what we're saying here is essentially we're looking at a similar pattern in comparison here. Is that correct?
Correct. So table 2 is the existing parking demand at the Willow Glen Primrose School. That's on page 7 of 8. So they based that parking pattern and design from that facility and then backed down to the number of students and the size of that facility to this facility to get the ratio that helps them set up the requirement of 42 being the appropriate and sufficient number of parking spaces necessary to provide traffic and flow and patterns throughout the site.
Okay. And then one last question, also just kind of, pairing along with what Commissioner Albana had in regards to the, and I do understand that this is a preschool that, basically drop off is, you got to park, drop your kid, your child off, go inside and sign in. I think her question and, what I'm thinking, and just to kind of, maybe clarify the question there is not necessarily flow, but in terms of, parking, how are the parents getting into the school? I think that's maybe the question there. How are they getting into the school? Where are the entrances and exits, going in? Like, what is the intended, I guess you can not necessarily drop off, but intended flow of how parents are coming in to drive and drop their child off?
Yeah, so there's a total of 4 driveway path of travels one could take. If you go to the slide, the 6th slide of the presentation. So as you see, we've got driveway 1 at the top north, or the northwest corner. That's an exit right onto Jacqueline Road. So that's 2-way traffic in and out of the site. So that would be one location. To the east there, you see another set of arrows, and there's actually a wraparound from that driveway number 2, which is indicated to the right of driveway number 1. There's actually a path where you could drive along behind the Shell gas station, behind the car wash itself, and enter into the parking lot from that direction. From South Hillview, there's an arrow there in the middle of the screen, which would allow you to pass in front of the preschool to the west, directly into the site. So as you come into that area, you take a slight left and then a right into the parking lot. So that's the 3rd 2-way path of travel. And then the arrow at the bottom, driveway number 4, again, a 2-way path of travel that leads you south on the site, again, conjoining up to South Hillview, provides a 4th access point. So the 4 driveways and that provide access to the site are what was studied by Hexagon in order to determine that there was sufficient flow and movement of traffic, not only for the proposed new use, but also taking into consideration the existing uses like the preschool, as previously mentioned, the office park to the south, and the kind of business park to the northwest, and the gas station as well. So those are the 4 2-way drive aisle access points that would kind of develop the flow of how a parent would actually come into the site. So you'd be turning right from Jacqueline Road, as it's the only way you could get into the site, or you'd be turning left or right from South Hillview to either of the 2 streets at the bottom portion of the page there.
All right, thank you. That actually answered my questions. I just want to go to the other commissioners. Do they have any other questions on this? Commissioner Albana.
Yes, Chair. I wanted to make a comment on that. So is that a two-way, like at the back going towards the Shell station, the back of the car wash? Are all these arrows like a two-way, two cars can pass?
Yeah, it's like indicating two-way path of travel. Yes, I apologize. This site plan doesn't more accurately depict that path of travel. The staff report and attachment B of the project plans does it better justice on page C-5.0, where you see the actual path of travel of a fire apparatus or a trash receptacle apparatus, where you can better see the drive aisles off of Jacqueline there to understand that that is a two-way path of travel behind the Shell gas station.
Chair, I don't know if I can ask another question about the security. We're always thinking about our kids, children being secured. What's the safety of theirs? And what is the safety of both the parents, the moms who drive the kids? How safe is this area? Because, it's all like in that area where, how will I say it? It's kind of remote. It's backed up, against the wall of the freeway and around, and then going towards the Shell station. It's an easy access to the freeway. I want to really know what owners or the developers have with regards to the safety of not even the children, but the parents who take their children.
Sorry, can you make it understand? I'm not understanding the question.
I would just think refer to the safety, both of the children and the parents, not only dropping off the kids, but after picking them up and they get out of that area. What about the safety? What is being provided by the owner or the school that runs it for the safety, dropping off the kids and taking them home until they close?
Yeah, so this is Eric. First of all, as experienced preschool operators, we don't see any problem with safety of this location. We think it's a very good site with good access, good visibility, and with other activity. It's not like it's isolated. The other child cares in the area have people coming and going. The gas station has people coming and going. So we think with a lot of people, that makes it a safe environment. In addition, the police department has looked at the site and has made a few recommendations to ensure safety, including the installation of surveillance cameras, increased lighting, and so forth, all of which the owner has agreed to do, and it is a condition of approval in this permit. So we feel very confident that it'll be safe for the parents and the students.
And I would add, Commissioner, thank you for that, Eric. The police department did also in their memorandum to the applicant indicate, as far as calls for service to the area at the location, the most calls appear to be alarm calls or 911 hang-up calls appear to be coming from the nearby I-680. And the most recent incident in which police involvement was required was a burglary at the location on 11/8 of 2020, which the case is referenced in there. So PD did do a very thorough investigation of the site to ensure that if there was a heightened reason for safety or concern, that those measures would be added. But the lack of response or of calls for service to the site in specific or the surrounding vicinity helps to demonstrate that in conjunction with additional lighting and security cameras, and then along with the measures required and prescribed by the California Licensing Board for Child Care, that more than satisfactory security on site and outside the perimeter of the site will be able to be provided.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. All right, any other questions from any of the commissioners? All right, the Vice Chair has a question.
Would the owners or the developers or the architect consider adding that fencing all the way up to the half moon parts of the building, if you know what I'm talking about? Maybe we could show that slide. The side of the building.
So this is the area on the south side of the building, extending
the
the
bottom
fencing
one.
along the property line that we discussed earlier. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. Yes.
I believe the question for clarification is to extend the 4-foot mesh fencing all the way up to the top of the conical shape of that opening. So the opening is not actually open, but a completely secured fenced area. Still open air. It would not let as much light necessarily transfer from outside, but running that all the way to the top of the wall there. Is that what you're looking for, Commissioner?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Sorry,
Did you have a comment? Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead, planning director.
Through the chair, I was just going to maybe ask the architect to comment on that. I don't know if that's something that perhaps we could explore with the building department to see, and maybe it wouldn't need to necessarily go all the way to the top of the arch, but a little bit higher to address the concerns raised by the vice chair. I do notice too, and maybe Mr. Schoenauer can comment. I notice on this slide that even though that's open, it mentions that it's with motorized roller shades. So is there something that is going to be in that open area that would provide some, when children are out there for, I know it's just a shade, but would that be a type of protection for that open area?
I'd have to have Anthony answer the question. I don't know how the roller shades work.
Yeah, the roller shade is really to, in case of like when there's rain blowing in or when there's sun, because there's the south side, if there's very strong sun in the late afternoon, then they can lower the roller shade down. And of course, it's installed on the inside of it. So you can almost say that this white color is the roller shade. Okay. But I think to answer the commissioner's earlier question, to have some kind of protection like a mesh, I'll let Amar and Seema, the owners, to decide on that because we certainly, of course, safety is important, but at the same time, we don't want to make the space feel like it's like a jail cell or something, for the kids. So I'll let them talk about this. Yeah.
We'll do everything possible to make sure the children are safe. That is kind of number one thing for a preschool. But at the same time, we don't want to make it feel like it's a playground is completely closed and there is no sunlight coming and it does not feel like a playground at that particular point. So that is I think we are open to the suggestions, but we would like to actually, because it's a playground, we like to actually keep it airy. And so air also can come on in that particular playground. Sun also kind of comes in the playground. But we'll do everything, all possible thing to make sure that that is safe and people will not like cross and come into the playground.
And I would like to add, in addition to for reference, the playground areas at the front of the building are actually just a 6-foot high fence. And a 6-foot high fence is what we've seen, and in my experience here, has been a pretty standard height for fences within and around playground areas. The Stratford Schools, which was recently approved by this planning commission body, also has a similarly height and size of fence. So the additional 2 feet is good to see as it goes above and beyond that kind of normal 6-foot high wrought iron fence that I've seen on a number of other child care facilities or playground areas, even within our own public facilities.
So what you're saying, Avery, is instead of a 4-foot mesh, we go to a 6-foot mesh?
So the total is already going to be taller at 8 feet, that the 4 feet concrete wall with 4 feet on top of it of mesh. So we have a total of 8. So it is now 2 feet taller than the playground areas at the front of the school. So it provides greater security in the sense that there is 2 more feet of wrought iron fencing. And so that I do see that as being of benefit on the back side of the building there. Although it is still a parking lot and does still see normal foot traffic from the adjacent commercial and office park. It is 2 more feet than the front of the building, again, to help with building massing, and again, to not provide or show that it is of a jail cell as referenced, or as a darker or more enclosed area, again, to maintain the nature of a playground is the ultimate goal there.
I think what I hear the vice chair saying, and correct me if I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is the design here where there's a 4-foot wall and then the mesh allows for sort of a step that someone could step on the 4-foot wall and then climb over. It would seem to me that we can commit to a design where the mesh and the exterior of that 4-foot wall are flush. They're absolutely flush. It would create no step whatsoever, so for someone to step on, and that could be a condition of approval, that it'll be absolutely flush, the mesh and the stucco, so there would be no step. Is that
That would work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can do that.
and we absolutely can do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions from any of the commissioners? And I just want to remind the commissioners as well. I realize that we, a lot of times we, so questions have been really, good, and they have been on par for land use in regards to the project. So I just want to remind, as we kind of, continue asking, questions there. So, so having said that, next question, I see Commissioner Galan has a question.
Yes, I have a question to Mr. Stark regarding about the surveillance camera. Is the outside, right? What type of camera are you going to install?
I don't have the specific details of the type of cameras that the applicant will be installing. I don't know, Amar, if you have at this point identified the vendor who would provide that type of service. But I can tell you that the Milpitas Police Department, as a condition of approval, yes, require that video security be implemented around the exterior of the entire building, all the entrance and exits, as well as part of the enclosed portions of the facility, that they record in a high definition and shall have the capacity to save and store footage for a minimum of 30 days, and footage shall have the capability to be downloaded and a copy provided to law enforcement if necessary. And again, that's a part of the conditions of approval for the project. But I will
if I may, Chair, I'll just add on to what Avery just said. For the purpose of the Planning Commission and the purview of the Planning Commission, that's about as far as we would go on the detail of the types of cameras. Following this, of course, the applicant will submit an application to the building department for actual construction and renovation of the building, and they can continue to work with the police department on the specific types of cameras and security that will be needed at the building.
Thank you, Planning Director.
I have a question to the staff.
Go ahead.
Do you require camera inside the facility?
If I may, again, the operational details of the building, as we mentioned earlier, many of them, the childcare industry is heavily regulated by the state. And so issues like security and the operations, the number of teachers, all of that would fall under the purview of the state rather than the Planning Commission. For the purposes here, we're looking at the type of use and the changes to the building. So we would not necessarily need to go into the details of the security and operations of the use.
Thank you, Commissioner Gall. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing that we don't have any other questions, I'd like to open up the public forum. Ms. Medina, I don't see anyone here in the chambers. Do we have anyone online that would like to make a public comment?
Yes, we do, Chair. We have Ms. Barbara Navarro.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Navarro, okay, is she on yet? I don't see her on here yet, just yet.
Good evening,
Okay,
Commissioners.
all right. Go ahead. Thank you, Ms. Navarro. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, so I live at 915 North Hillview, which is kitty corner from this facility. Prior to the public comments, they did meet with a group of us, all of us neighbors, to discuss this facility. Eric did with a couple other folks. We're really happy with the changes that are going to be made. And we know that this facility will be a great asset to our neighborhood, along with the existing childcare. So we are ecstatic about this proposal and what it can do for our neighborhood. And yes, we do realize that it will add traffic, but in our opinion, the traffic that it will add is worth the convenience and what it will bring to our neighborhood. So I employ the commission to go ahead with this plan and to vote in a very positive way for this to move forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. Ms. Medina, do we have anyone else in the queue?
Chair, there are no other committee members. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, can I get a motion to close the public forum?
Motion to close the public hearing.
I got a motion from Commissioner Mosen. Do you have a second?
I make a second.
Okay, second from Commissioner Medina Ashby. Roll call vote. Commissioner Mosen.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Medina Ashby.
Aye.
Commissioner Awasti.
Aye.
Commissioner Galan.
Aye.
Commissioner Albana.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ciardella.
Aye.
Chair Chuan is aye. Okay, public forum 7-0. Public forum is now closed. Okay. Do I have any final questions from any of the commissioners? Okay, any deliberations? Okay, Commissioner Awasti.
I'm very happy that this building, which was lying vacant for such a long time, is coming to some use, a very good use. And they sent about 466 mailers. And I also heard the residents are very happy. They want this facility here. So I'm very happy with the project going forward and bringing revenue and helping the residents of the city. So, and my concern was with the 4-foot wall, and everything has been answered, and they are ready to comply with every request of ours. So congratulations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Awasti. Anyone else? Okay, do I have a motion? And by the way, if there is a motion to be made, just wanted to stipulate that during our discussion, in addition to what's shown on the screen, if you want to make a motion, please also add the condition of approval that was stated in regards to the wall. So, okay, Commissioner Albana, you had a.
Chair, I would like to move and adopt the resolution.
Okay, go ahead.
I move that we adopt resolution number 21-012, approving conditional use permit number UP 21-0003, minor site development permit number MS 21-0129, and tree removal permit number TR 21-0031, subject to the findings and attached conditions of approval, and to include, we have talked about it, maybe you could find the right wordings where that it will be just a one straight wall of having that 4 feet and another 4 feet mesh metal would be flushed together, something like that. I don't know how to do the wordings, but that will be part of the conditional use permit.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Planning Director has a comment. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just for the record and to clarify. So yes, we can add language to an appropriate condition that states that as was described by Mr. Schoenauer, that the components of the wall on the south side of the building for the playground, playground number 4, 5, will be will be designed in a manner that is flush, that components will be flush so that a person would not be able to scale the wall.
Okay.
We'll make it sound better than that, but that's the basic gist of the condition, that the components will be flush
Correct.
and unscalable.
All right, Commissioner Albana, do you?
Yes,
state
that
this
is
motion?
good. Yeah,
Okay.
unscalable for the safety.
Okay. Okay. I heard a second from Vice Chair Ciardella.
Yes, second.
Okay. All right. Roll call vote. Commissioner Mosin. Commissioner Medina Ashby.
Aye.
Commissioner Awasti.
Aye.
Commissioner Galong.
Aye.
Commissioner Albana.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ciardella.
Aye.
Chair Chuan is aye. Motion passes. Congratulations to the applicant and all the planning staff and everyone that put work into this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, all the commissioners. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is new business. There are no items. Legalese. Any person aggrieved by any final decision of any board, commission, or department head to the city of Milpitas may appeal the decision to the city council by filing written notice of the appeal with the city clerk within 12 calendar days of the date of said decision and paying the required fee. This time limit shall be strictly enforced. Next item, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? I'm going to motion from Commissioner Mosin.
I second that.
Second from Commissioner Wasti. Roll call vote. Commissioner Mosin. Commissioner Medina Ashby.
Aye.
Commissioner Wasti.
Aye.
Commissioner Galong. Commissioner Albana.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ciardella.
Aye.
Chair Chuan is aye. Meeting's adjourned.